Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another Batman 80th Anniversary Review. So today we're going to head on back to 1966 and talk about Batman the Movie. Yeah, starring the legendary Adam West and Burt Ward as the Caped Crusaders. Let's check it out today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. So in 1966, we of course got the Batman live-action TV series. Yeah, it was the first time that Batman had been seen in live action since the movie serials of the 40s. This time around, however, things weren't quite so serious as they were in the old movie serials. No, it was more kind of tongue-in-cheek and campy, as they like to call it. Very much taking its cues more from the comics of the era. The comics in the 50s and 60s kind of got into some silly territory, and that was just generally what superhero comics were like then. So they decided to do the show more kind of tongue-in-cheek. Well, to say that it was a hit is a vast understatement. The term Batmania was very quickly coined around this time, as Batman literally became a worldwide phenomenon. I mean, it was sold all over the world. It was shown all over the world over the course of the next few years. And it was a huge hit. So much so that before Season 2 even started filming, they made a movie. Interesting to note, the original plan was actually to do the movie first, kind of as a theatrical pilot for the series. But for whatever reason, they decided to do the series first instead. Were not prepared for what a huge hit it was, but decided to cash in on it immediately, and Fox gave them a whole bunch of extra money to do the movie in slightly bigger fashion than what they were able to do on the show. Now, that said, it's still a fairly low-budget movie by blockbuster standards, but, it was still pretty cool, I guess, to see the Caped Crusaders, who you'd be watching every week on TV, up on the big screen as well. Not to mention the added money meant they could build a few more vehicles and debut them in the movie, such as the Bat-Cycle and the Bat-Boat, and of course the Bat-Copter, all of which would be used in the later seasons of the show. So I would think if they had done the movie as the pilot first, it wouldn't be quite so big and grandiose and full of Bat gadgets as it is. So it kind of works out better that they did it in between the two seasons when the show was already a huge hit. Now, there were plans to do a second movie, which was going to come out between the second and third seasons, but by that point, Batmania had kind of dropped, I guess, and the second season wasn't getting anywhere near the ratings that the first season did, so Fox decided to pass on the second movie. So instead, there was a 15-minute pilot shot that basically detailed Batman and Robin's first meeting with Batgirl. Though oddly enough, this pilot film was never aired anywhere. I think it's included as an extra on the Blu-rays. I'm just going to confirm that here. Give me a sec. Okay, yes, actually it is included. I was pretty sure it was. I just had to double check. It's included on the bonus disc at the end of the Season 3 set in the section called Bat Rarities Straight from the Vault. So it has a little pilot episode. It's not actually 15 minutes. It's about 8 minutes long. But, yeah. It's kind of odd. I don't know why they had to do a pilot for the third season, but I guess it was because Fox wasn't sure if they wanted to do a third season, so they did that little pilot short and said, well, this is kind of the direction we want to go, and they said, okay, we'll give you a third season, and we'll see how it goes. Interestingly enough, there was almost a fourth season. ABC, of course, canceled it after the third season, and then demolished the $800,000 Batcave set, and then about 2 weeks after that, NBC said, oh, We'll do a fourth season. We'll take it off your hands, and we can do it over on our network. We love Batman, but we'll only do it if you still have the sets. Oops. So if they just waited a little bit longer before bulldozing the sets, then we could have actually had a fourth season of Batman. Oh well. There we go. So the movie's a lot of fun. We've got a whole rogues gallery of villains for Batman and Robin to deal with. We, of course, have Cesar Romero as the Joker, Burgess Meredith as the Penguin, Frank Gorshin as the Riddler, all straight from the first season of the show. They were going to have Julie Newmar as Catwoman. However, because she thought she wouldn't be called back until the second season, she went off and committed to another project and didn't know that they were making a movie. So by the time she got word that they were making a movie, she couldn't get out of her other commitments, so they had to recast Catwoman, and we got Lee Merriweather, who is also wonderful, but it would have been nice to see Julie Newmar in the movie, simply because, I mean, she's Catwoman in the first two seasons. It would have given a little more consistency of the character, I guess. But, oh well. I think all the actresses who played Catwoman in the series are wonderful and brought their own sort of unique qualities to the character. Also, if we had been doing this review a few years ago, we wouldn't be looking at this set here. We'd only be looking at this, because for the longest time, Batman the movie was the only thing of the 60s series in any way that was available on home video. In fact, back in my Selkirk days, I guess it was probably around the time that the 1989 movie came out, I had this VHS release from Playhouse Video, which was sort of the family label that CBS Fox had for a very long time. I remember a lot of their early Doctor Who VHS releases were put out on the same label. And also, just as an aside, I also had this video here, Batmania, again, purchased around 1989. And it was all about the hype and hoopla and behind-the-scenes stories and such, all about the 60s series. So, I mean, at the time, it was pretty rare to get anything about the 60s series. Certainly, there was no sign of the 60s series itself coming to home video. So, all we had was Batman the movie. So, for the longest time, other than being able to see the show in repeats, which, of course, you know, the licensing is different for repeats than it is for home media. So, a lot of stations were able to show the repeats forever. But in terms of actually having a collection, this is all we had for the longest time. And when I picked up the Blu-ray, I was kind of scratching my head thinking, well, what the heck Bat logo is that? It's not the one that's on his costume. It's not the logo from the titles of the show. Which one is it? And the other day when we were watching the movie, I was like, oh, it's the logo on the Batmobile. Duh. So this movie's a lot of fun, and because of its ready availability over the years, it's probably the one Batman 60s thing that people have seen the most over the years, just because it was so easily accessible. I know I certainly watched my old VHS tape of it quite a bit, and then I did pick it up on DVD a few years later, just in the DVD special edition that was available for quite some time, and then, of course, grabbed it on Blu-ray pretty much as soon as it came out. But yeah, this movie's a lot of fun, and it feels much as you would expect, like an extended episode of the show. Kind of like, yeah, I mean, you could almost take this movie and chop it up into 4 episodes for the show. I don't think they ever did that, but you could. It's about the right running time for that. It's 105 minutes, which incidentally makes it the shortest Batman movie ever, other than the animated ones, of course, but the shortest live-action one anyway. So the villain's plot is pretty straightforward. They've developed this dehydration machine, which can dehydrate people into just a little pile of dust, and then you just add water to reconstitute them into full-blown people again. So they want to use this machine to kidnap a bunch of high-ranking delegates from all the different countries of the world and hold them for ransom, essentially. So it's up to Batman and Robin to stop them. And there's all kinds of hijinks along the way, lots of attempts by the villains to kill the Caped Crusaders and whatnot. Like the Penguin has this army surplus submarine that he managed to get, and he's kind of refitted it with penguin motif stuff. So you've got like a periscope with a bird head on it, and you got flippers instead of the propellers on the back and stuff like that. So there's a scene where Batman and Robin have been caught in a trap by the baddies, where they were investigating this buoy, and it's been magnetized, and it's holding them in place by the metal objects in their utility belts. So meanwhile, in the sub, Joker and Penguin are launching torpedoes at the buoy, trying to kill Batman and Robin. So Batman has a sonic device he's managed to work his way out of his utility belt, and I guess he's using like torpedo blowing up frequency or something. Anyway, they're able to blow up the torpedoes before they get to the buoy. So they managed to blow up 2 of them. And then there's a third one coming in, and it seems like it's blown up the buoy. And for a little bit, we don't know what happened. And it's such a great like moment you would expect to see from the show. But the movie, I don't know, almost goes in a slightly darker direction than you would normally see on the show. So it cuts to them driving in the bat boat, and you're like, well, what the heck? What happened? And then Robin starts to explain. It's like, wow, Batman, who would have thought? The noble porpoise throwing itself in front of the path of the torpedo like that. It's like, so even like random porpoises are Batman and Robin fans and come to their rescue, sacrifice themselves for the greater good of Batman and Robin being able to protect everyone. So it's just that kind of ridiculousness that I absolutely love. And then, of course, there's the famous "some days you just can't get rid of a bomb" scene, which is absolutely ridiculous, and I love it. Is Batman running all around this harbor area like forever with this cartoon style big ball of a bomb, and trying to find a place that he can throw it away and dispose of it. But there's like a baby carriage that keeps showing up, there's a marching band, there's a family of ducks, there's lovers in a boat, and he keeps running into the same things again and again and again, and he's just like, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. And I remember the first time I rewatched that as a young adult, and my friends and I just laughed ourselves sick at that part. It's just so comical and over the top to the point of ridiculousness that you can't help but love it and just kind of go along with the silliness. But the whole movie is full of moments like that, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it a lot. I mean, it was great to see the sort of grand, sweeping, cinematic aerial shots of the new Bat vehicles and such, the kind of shots you would never see in the show. You get to see Adam West as Bruce Wayne a lot more in this. He has a bit of a romance going with Catwoman in her alter ego as Kitka, the Russian photographer. And yeah, it's just a really fun movie. I mean, it's if you like the show, I highly recommend checking out the movie, because it's got a lot of the same kind of fun to it. But it's obviously had a little bit more money to do with it. And I like the fact they actually really make use of the widescreen aspect ratio as well. Like, for example, in the final fight with the bad guys, we finally get the, biff, bam, sock, pow sound effects appearing on screen. They saved that. They saved it for the final fight of the movie, which is great. I love that. There's a lot of other fights throughout, but they saved the biff, bam, sock, pow sound effects thing for the big finale, which I think was a great creative move, because you're waiting for it. You're waiting for it because it's such a big part of the show. So they saved it for the final fight. But the thing I like about it is in the show, when they do those sound effects, they kind of fill the whole screen. Whereas here, it's much more placed where the bad guys are and where they're getting, clobbered or what have you. Making full use of that wider, bigger panorama and the big screen imagery, where they're able to kind of position things a little more precisely. And I don't know, it's a little thing, but I liked it. I liked that aspect of it, that they were really trying to make use of the fact that this was the movie of Batman rather than the TV show. So they kind of wanted to set it apart in terms of the production value, as it were. So a lot more cinematic shots and making use of the widescreen aspect ratio and such. And I think it's great. I mean, I think it works. It's no bigger or smaller than it has to be. And as I say, it's obviously a fairly low budget movie by big movie standards. But as far as being a movie version of the Batman 60s series, I think it works great, and it's a lot of fun. It's every bit as silly and goofy as you want it to be, and you get the debut of some pretty cool Bat vehicles as well. So in terms of the show, if you're going to watch it kind of in continuity, as it were, you want to watch this in between seasons 1 and 2. So watch season 1, watch the movie, then go on to season 2, and there you go. This is a pretty nicely loaded Blu-ray as well. It's got extras that I believe are just carried over from the old DVD release. We got a commentary by Adam West and Burt Ward. We got a second commentary by screenwriter Lorenzo Semple Jr. You got an isolated score track in DTS HD master audio, so you've actually got lossless a lossless track for just the score, which is pretty cool. The music in this is by Neil Hefti, the same guy who did the music for the show. You do hear the Batman theme periodically, mostly during scenes. Whereas the one disappointment I have, I was kind of hoping we'd have the big epic movie version of the TV theme, but we don't really get that. The opening sequence in this is really cool. It's kind of reminiscent of some of the James Bond types of intros or spy movie style intros that are, you would expect to see from that era. This would have been about 5 years, I think, after the first couple of James Bond movies came out. So the super spy genre had kind of started, and you had these more sort of creative opening title sequences starting to appear in movies. And this one is certainly no exception to that. The opening title sequence is quite cool here. It's all kind of done in shadows and silhouettes and primary colors, and you have this spotlight kind of following and focusing on things, and it's pretty neat. But it's not the Batman theme. It has kind of a Batman theme-esqueness to it. That's words I'm making up, apparently. But it's not quite what I was hoping it would be. But it's a minor complaint, honestly. I mean, we do hear the Batman theme, at least in instrumental form, in a lot of the, incidental music and so forth. So I can't really complain too much. And everything else is so much fun in this movie. I really, have zero complaints about it. Continuing on here, we've also got Batman: A Dynamic Legacy featurette, Caped Crusaders: A Hero's Tribute featurette, Gotham City's Most Wanted featurette, a featurette from 2001, which I think would have been for the original DVD release, the Batmobile Revealed with George Barris, the Batmobile Interactive Tour, Batman on Location, mapping the movie so you get to see where all the locations were, Holy Trivia Track Batman, the original theatrical teaser and trailer. That's fun, by the way. There's a lot of footage in the teaser and the trailer that was only filmed for those. Like, there's a lot of it is Batman and Robin directly addressing you, the viewer, and telling you about their movie that's coming out and stuff like that. And they have some shots of the villains as well, which was also shot specifically for the trailer. So pretty cool stuff. It also has a Spanish trailer and still galleries. So overall, a very nice Blu-ray set with lots of goodies on it. And there you go. Nothing too. So you can tell how old this is. It's got this. You might need to update your firmware. But, yeah, when did this release come out anyway? 2008. Yeah, okay. So, anyway, good stuff. Batman the movie. I love it. I will watch it many, many more times over the years. And it's great to finally have the series at long last to go with it. So we can actually watch this in continuity where it belongs. There's not really a ton of continuity in the Batman series, but you know what I mean. You can watch it where it falls into the history and evolution of the series. Alrighty. Well, that is it from me to you for now, folks. Hope you enjoyed, so I'll see you next time. So until then, thank you for watching. Big thanks to my Patreon sponsors. Come and check me out on Twitch. I stream almost every day. And until next time, sayonara.